I think it's very important that people of faith or atheists, anybody who would be looking for answers today, the best place to go to look for answers that deal with personal problems and political problems that our world, certainly that our nation is facing, it's already spelled out for us, the answers in the Old and the New Testament. So I just wanted to direct people to where they can look, find that answer, and then be at peace and be able to live life vibrantly without worrying so much about what's going on.
Okay, final question. This is the gotcha question. So
all right.
I'm warning you.
All right.
Could Governor Palin vote for an atheist who you believed had a moral compass? Maybe not a moral compass grounded in Scripture, but a person who says, look, I'm a straight arrow. I lead my life according to a moral code. It just doesn't have to be biblically based. If it all came down to that versus someone who believed in a religion that was hell-bent on destroying those who didn't agree with their religion, who would literally want to kill the infidels who would not say, okay, I'll go along with you, then I would, which means anybody who is in any way sympathetic to what's going on today, Muslim terrorists who would crucify children and behead women and stop at nothing to try to destroy us and Israel and our allies, I'd choose an atheist over that. Okay, you're voting for an atheist over an ISIS supporter.
I am awful and dirty and terrible, and I have these urges.
It's like going to a strip club with 6-year-olds. I thought all 4 of us were kind of assholes. But that's the whole point of the show.
'Tis the season, bitches.
And welcome to Atheist Airwaves. And welcome to Atheist Airwaves, episode number 118. I'm Christian Ferris.
I'm Reb Spence.
I'm Petey Alfaro.
I'm Heather Schafer.
We record live Tuesday at 7:30 Central, so please come out and hang out with us in our chat room. I want to issue a disclaimer at the top of this show. My 3 co-hosts have been here partying before the show, and so I'm officially wiping my hands of anything that they say tonight because it's going to be obnoxious.
We do what we do best, Ferris.
I know. Our intro audio this week is Sarah Palin, who will totally vote for an atheist for president, but only if that atheist is running against a terrorist.
Because that's the next best thing. If there's somebody running for president that's going to kill everybody and crucify children, I guess I'll vote for the atheist.
What is the difference between someone who's going to be crucifying babies and an atheist?
We eat them?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that is the moral high ground there, right?
Right.
It's you don't waste the body. You don't just let it sit there.
We're like Indians.
Yeah, we use everything.
We've talked before about how many different groups are respected more than atheists, pedophiles. And I feel like over the last few years we've made a lot of progress, but it really stops feeling that way when you're being told that the only person that would make a worse president than you is someone trying to kill everyone in the country.
Well, and that wasn't even the question. It wasn't, would you vote for an atheist against some religious extremist crucifying, beheading ISIS supporter? It was, would you vote for an atheist that might not have moral ground based in, God and the Bible, but they're a straight arrow, they've had a transparent,
The topic of Muslims and ISIS never even showed up in the conversation. That was the first thing that popped up in her head when she thought of atheists.
No, she was saying, okay, what's worse than an atheist? What's worse than an atheist? The only thing in her head that's worse than an atheist is a terrorist. That's it.
I like that they were using the moral grounds of the Bible, where it's just we should just totally live by that, and the stoning of random people for stupid reasons that you feel aren't right. And it's just okay.
I like that too, where she was like, everything is already laid out for us. It's in the Old and New Testament, so you can live a vibrant life and not have to worry so much.
She obviously doesn't worry about things very much.
About that was, I think, the most bone-chilling thing. I mean, all the atheism things aside, is that she was this close to being in the White House, and she thinks that if you just read the Bible, you can find out the answers to everything, and then everything else will just take care of itself. I mean, basically, if
No, God's taking care of the rest.
That's what I mean.
It's not working itself out.
you could just go out and play in the park, and God will work on everything else. As long as you don't let the gays get married in your country, God's going to take care of the rest of it. What a scary kind of thing to have from a leader.
Yeah, no, I felt the same way. I mean, and I think that's kind of a scary mentality, regardless of whether you're a leader or whether you're just raising children or trying to run a household or whatever. That is a scary way to look at life.
Well, and also
like here, just be told what to think, and don't pay attention to anything serious going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
You also realize, the person they're talking to, that, I mean, this guy literally primed her for the gotcha question, that no other reporter ever goes up to a talking head and be like, all right, I'm going to ask you a gotcha question. Please don't be offended. Don't go to Fox News afterwards and tell them I asked you a gotcha question. I'm just letting you know up front, here's a gotcha question. No one else gets that kind of treatment because they know what kind of person Palin is.
Yeah. Kitty Scary in the chat room says, unless you get raped and then you have to worry about having to marry your rapist, because that's in the Old Testament.
No, but it's laid out. That's what you're supposed to do. It's okay.
So you don't have to worry about it. You don't get raped and now go, well, hell, I'm impure. What's going to happen to me? There's an answer right there.
You just start planning the wedding.
Somebody's thought of that for you.
It's like, wouldn't they have had to stone her daughter for having multiple children out of wedlock?
Yes. That's the other thing. It's
More than once.
Or just to stop the bloodline.
This moment in eugenics has been brought to you by Heather Schafer. Please direct. What is your email address, Heather? Does everyone have to forward it on?
God at atheistairwaves.com.
Damn it. Yeah, that's the other thing, is that they do, I would think, look to the New Testament and the Old Testament for all the answers. And so why do you have a daughter who's had, and like I said, I don't even care that she has multiple children out of wedlock, because that doesn't matter.
It's not that. She's making money off of it, so that's why she's doing it, and it's fine, but...
She's making money off what?
Well,
the whole pushing the abstinence.
like, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Don't do what I did. Now, pay me millions of dollars for giving you that talk.
And then I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to really nail down this don't do what I did thing. Does anyone want to put... Because I'm thinking back to the gotcha question that Katie Couric asked her in the 2008 election. What
newspapers do you read?
All of them? They're just... What, can you name one? Well, just all of them.
I get them all. 400 papers are delivered to my house every day, and I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I don't stop reading until midnight.
That's exactly right. But does anyone want to put money on whether Sarah Palin has actually read the Bible?
I'm sure she's read parts of it, when her pastor, read this specific line, and that's it.
And you don't think that he had to read it to her?
She probably followed along, at the very least.
Finger on the page.
Right? And bling, when it's time to turn the page.
Or whenever, Facebook, scriptures are passed around and shared, I'm sure she reads those.
Or those ones at sports events, that they have them up. So she's okay, I'll look up that one. That's a good one to look up.
So, no.
Not in its entirety. I can almost guarantee she hasn't read it in its entirety.
I almost guarantee that anyone that's read the Bible from cover to cover still believes in God. If they do, I can't imagine that they've read it in its entirety.
I didn't need to read it in its entirety, and I already knew,
Yeah, I didn't make it out of Genesis.
Yeah, I didn't either. I tried.
I was an atheist before I got out of Genesis. I mean, it's that bad. The first book.
It is. It's terribly written.
Yeah. And I went in deciding to read it as a believer because I wanted to, because I was taking my faith seriously. And, man, didn't even make it out of the first book. I finished reading it, but I was like, damn. So I will go farther than to say anyone who hasn't read the Bible can't be a theist. If you've read Genesis, there's no way. There's no way. And I'm going to come back to this point later on in the show because there's some stories we have that just make me say no way. There's no way people think that this is true. I can't imagine.
Well, if they all believed it was true, our country would be a lot different, considering 73% of the people are Christians.
So, like, I mean, you're talking about, like, stoning people?
And just everything about our society does not jive well with the Bible at all. And if you have 73% of the people there and they all believed it as fervently as the Bible says they should, like, no separation of church and state would ever be able to stop that many people from installing their theocracy.
Fair enough. I mean, and that's another point I'll come back to, because I think aren't they trying?
Oh, they're trying
really hard.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't think they want it with as much fervor as they should if they really believed it, like, right down to the core.
All right. Let's move on to some news. It's Christmas this week, in a few days. So, of course, we have to start with some Christmas stories. And here in Texas, the government is pulling down all kinds of nativity scenes, but not in the way that you might think. In Orange, Texas, there was a nativity scene in front of City Hall until last week, when local atheists requested permission to put up a sign that wished people of all religions and no religion happy holidays. They didn't ask them to take the nativity scene down, though I think they should have. They didn't threaten to sue anyone. They didn't say, they didn't make any threats at all. They just said, hey, can we put up this happy holidays thing? Well, the city manager freaked out and was like, no, we're not, and now we can't have any nice things. And he just preemptively removed the nativity scene. No one asked him to. He just did.
Like, if we can't have it, nobody can have anything. No.
I mean, it kind of sucks for the orange atheists, because, like, they just wanted to put up an additional, little display. But now everyone in town's going to think they're an asshole because, now nobody can have it.
But they already thought they were an asshole.
Well, I mean, the unfortunate part, this is kind of what we've been fighting for, really, is for every municipality, whenever this issue comes up, for them to be so scared of getting a lawsuit that we know they will lose, that they just pull out of the game completely. I mean, that's kind of what we've been stumping for, and I think, congratulations. We're starting to win before we even have to fight for it.
That's the thing that really surprised me. Because they didn't even threaten to sue. So I'm just like, if we had known that it would be this easy to remove nativity scenes, just say, hey, we'd like to say happy holidays to everyone. No, I'm destroying the nativity scene because of you.
Well,
I've known.
At that cleanup that we had here in town, whenever they put up those Jesus fish and the crosses.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so we
were beautifying an overpass underneath. I guess an underpass? I don't know. But
under the overpass?
Mm-hmm. And there's the concrete columns, we were painting them. And so everyone's going around painting. And then the church people started painting crosses and Jesus fish on them. And it's a city project. And it's city property. And so
it was just supposed to be a solid color, right? There weren't supposed to be any designs.
Well, they were like butterflies and stuff.
And flowers and stuff, yeah.
So I went over to the woman who was in charge, and she's a Christian. And I said, hey, there's these Christians over here painting crosses and Jesus fish on the columns. Is that okay with you? And if it is, can we start putting up flying spaghetti monster and atheist symbols? Is that
some science stuff,
Right.
Yeah. And it was like I didn't even get the sentence out of my mouth before she was sprinting over there and grabbed it and said, no, you can't do that. And she made them paint over them, which was great. I took many pictures of Christians painting over crosses.
That's so fun.
It was so good. So good. But then the same event this year, they had a fucking prayer led by the mayor.
Oh, yeah.
So annoyed at that.
Yeah, of course they did. They start all the city council luncheons and all of that stuff with prayers.
Yeah,
luncheons?
But the mayor shouldn't be the one giving the prayer, though.
Yeah.
It should be just a citizen giving the prayer, right? That's usually how that stuff goes.
Oh, they shoved that mic in her face super quick. Oh, you should totally do this.
Ustreamer 7393 said, so they painted vaginas everywhere? Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
They totally did. And I love telling Christians that the little Jesus fish, that is a vagina. It's a fertility symbol. So
You guys should have just painted like more realistic ones.
Like a George O'Keefe painting on there.
Little landing strip on some. And
it's just such a childish attitude.
Yeah.
Here with the, well, if we can't have just our thing, then nobody can have anything. But if they would have allowed the happy holidays and the nativity scene, now you get the whole yard sale effect.
Right. And that goes right back to what the satanic...
And I'd rather have nothing.
I would rather have nothing, but I mean, And apparently, so with the Christians in Orange, Texas, anyway, they'd rather have nothing than even have to have one banner that says something. It's not even, hey, your religion is stupid and you should be ashamed of yourselves for being so dumb.
No, it's totally inclusive. And also, I get several cards every year that say Happy Holidays.
Well, remember, to a Christian, though, Happy Holidays is an inclusive message. It's a
it's
direct
war
attack on
Christmas.
Christmas. So
It's a weapon of mass destruction on Christmas.
although I got to give the City Hall credit. I mean, they knew they were doing something wrong, and they just maybe said, you know what, you're right. Well, they said, you know what, we shouldn't have this nativity scene here at all. Nothing. We shouldn't have anything. So let's just.
I don't feel like that was their attitude.
It was more like a fine, and there's always
Right.
some
I mean, whenever
attitude
you're
behind
losing
fine.
a privilege, I mean, sometimes it's kind of shitty.
No, whenever you're being persecuted.
No, but they're losing their privilege, and so I mean, it kind of hurts a little bit. It's like I used to be able to do whatever I wanted, and now I have to care about other people's.
It feels
positions.
like getting married.
Don't ever do that.
I haven't, so I feel great. I've never lost my single privilege ever.
By comparison, it sucks.
So the media talked to Orange citizen and big thinker Ellen McKeithen, who told them, quote, "This country was founded on Christian principles, period. Go by history. If you don't like that, get out the country."
That's reasonable. That's
If he doesn't like it, maybe he should leave the country.
Right? No, he says we have to go by history. So
Right, but if we've decided not to go by history, and he doesn't like that, then it's on him to leave the country now.
So unfortunately, if we went by history, he'd have to leave the country.
right. Except we are going by history.
Actual history.
Yeah, the real kind that happened.
Right. Not the Texas textbook history where Moses wrote the Declaration of Independence.
I just hate that line. It's so stupid. It's like, you don't like the country either, so we should both leave now? I mean, that line
What
of
if
logic.
we end up in the same country again?
No.
I can't afford to move that many times.
It's like, if you follow that to its logical conclusion, everybody's got to leave, because there's something that people don't like about their country, inevitably. So I just hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Ustreamer 7393, I can't even read that far, says there is a reason why the Amish stop educating at 8th grade. Is that true? Do they only go through 8th grade?
I think it depends on the state they're in. They go to what they're legally required. Right?
Required to? That's kind of scary. I mean...
It is, but there's not that many Amish also, so...
But I also feel like we kind of do that in
They
Texas.
isolate themselves on purpose.
I mean, we make them go another 4 years, but we're not actually
We're not really
teaching them.
teaching them anything.
Or we are. It's just that Moses created the Constitution and shit like that.
What they want them to learn.
Moses crossed the Delaware with George Washington.
Having kids, I just don't actually find that a very humorous subject. I just don't.
As a person who doesn't have kids, I think it's hilarious.
It's like, that's fucking what they teach. Oh, shit.
Red was educated in Texas. Joke's on you, bro.
We can tell.
I like knowing that I don't have to worry about any young Texan upstart taking my job one day. They'll be too stupid to do it.
Too true. So then, of course, in this town of Orange, Texas, there has become this groundswell of people who are saying, you know, we're outraged that you're trying to take away our nativity scene, which was removed by Christians. And they're suggesting that they all put up nativity scenes in their yards and in their businesses as a form of protest.
I love that. You can't just start a slow clap with a
Congratulations! That's what you're supposed to do!
Exactly. They're like, we're going to put this on our private property so you learn a thing. And it's like, no, but that's okay.
That's cute. Oh.
I'll buy it for you.
If you won't let us violate the law, we're going to follow it, and then I'll show you stupid atheists. Jesus Christ. The same First Amendment that tells them that they can't put it in the town square is the same First Amendment that says, yes, put it in your yard, put it up in your private business. Come on.
Cover your entire lawn with nothing but nativity scenes. Just
all
baby
different
Jesuses
sizes.
all over the place.
Like a field of baby Jesuses as far as the eye can see, as long as you privately own that field.
And it's not a fire hazard.
Ustreamer 7393 was on fire tonight. Corrected me. Moses actually parted the Delaware for George Washington, so that American troops could cross over.
Oh, who's funny?
Yeah.
But that person should be on the show.
Right? So Petey and I can go finish drinking at the bar.
So meanwhile, in our state capitol building in Austin, last week the Freedom from Religion Foundation put up a holiday display to go along with the religious displays that have been erected there. And today, just before showtime, our governor asked them to remove it, asked the Capitol to remove it, and they did. The FFRF's display was actually a mock nativity scene. It had the Founding Fathers and the Statue of Liberty standing around a manger, and in the manger was the
Constitution?
Bill of Rights. And it had a sign next to it wishing everyone a happy winter solstice and advocating freedom, separation of church and state.
That sounds really, really patriotic.
You would think that, it had all the things that you want. It's got all the...
Did it have a gun?
Oh, man, that close.
Maybe if it would have had a gun. Maybe if the Statue of Liberty would have had, been the torch and some sort of semi-automatic weapon, they'd have let it slide.
Like pointing it at Obama.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
But the Bill of Rights includes the Second Amendment, so technically there's the gun thing in there.
Maybe they were waiting for the law to go into place in January, so they're waiting for the open carry until it's legal.
That's what it was.
They're just holding
the
off a little
Statue of
bit.
Liberty wasn't open carrying.
Just
Right.
concealed
Right.
there.
She
It was
was
under the
concealed.
gown.
Right. It's got a little ankle holster going on.
It's inside that book, it's got a little secret book which pulls it out.
Oh, you can't trust those guys, right?
Well, that's right. The Statue of Liberty is technically a Middle Eastern woman,
That's
right?
a Muslim, yeah. She was supposed to go to Egypt, right?
Joke's on you, Trump.
Did you just snort?
I did.
Yeah, you did.
Everybody drink.
Governor Abbott called the display a, quote, juvenile parody. And people are calling for the FFRF. The FFRF is saying that they are considering legal options. And, oh, hey, Jeff Grime is in the chat room right now, so maybe he can weigh in via text. But I feel like they can point to the fact that it's kind of making fun of Christianity or parodying Christianity and say it wasn't because it was an atheist message and we're not discriminating against you. It's because it was inappropriately...
You would think Christians would love that, though. It's literally like the Founding Fathers around a manger. It seems
Except for Moses.
It seems like a melding of Christian messaging and American messaging. Isn't that what they want?
You're such a fucking troll.
Isn't that what they? This is a Christian country, so why not meld?
It's not against me this time, so I think it's hilarious. I wish you would have been there for this.
I just feel like it should fit into the your common uneducated Americans' narrative of mixing, the American secularism and theocracy.
Some people say that atheists are condescending and mean, but I just want to say I don't think any of that about you.
They say that because they've all met Reb.
No. Does anyone have a not condescending and sarcastic take on whether you think legally that Greg Abbott will get in trouble for taking this down or not?
Well, my question is about the whole, it's mocking Christianity because of the manger and stuff like that. My question is, so?
So what?
So what if it is mocking Christianity? Is that not covered under freedom of expression?
Isn't it the premise of Satanism?
Well, but I don't think you have to... you don't have to allow any kind of speech at the Capitol. If someone came and said, "Hey, I'm a KKK guy and I want to hang this
But they were allowing other stuff.
Religious stuff. But I guarantee none of the other religious stuff addressed other religions. It was just, here's our thing. And then the atheists came along and said, okay, here's our thing. But our thing is a parody of
What were they going to do? Come along and set up a chemistry set?
Well, what else do we got? What we only exist as a counter to the main religious beliefs in our country.
But I think that you can have that a message, an atheist message that doesn't directly parody another religion. You can say there are no gods, and separation of church and state is a good thing. And sure, you're talking about religions, but you're not targeting a specific religion. And I don't know. I kind of feel like if they had done that, then they could really sue the pants off them. But I feel like they're kind of protected because of the parody thing.
Because they went kind of after a specific religion. Well, maybe, and like I'm just playing devil's advocate here, maybe Christianity shouldn't be so dumb as fuck and easy to make fun of. Maybe that's their own fault.
Maybe if it was real, there'd be nothing to parody.
Right.
Oh, you can parody real things.
But
Like
not
I
as
said,
easily
what are
as
they-
Christianity.
What are they supposed to come over and do? Like I said, set up a chemistry set? Like, yeah, science and
They could've-
also happy winter solstice.
If I'm to put on my serious hat, they could have just kind of said, happy holidays, enjoy your whatever bullshit that you do for the winter season. I mean, that would be probably what would be the expected atheist message, I would assume.
But why not have a little fun with it?
Right? Take a joke.
Yeah.
Right? If they don't like it, they can just look the other way as they walk past it.
Yeah.
They do that with the Bible most of the time.
Right. I
anyway.
mean, like on that military base a couple shows ago where we covered that big sign that said, God bless the
Yeah,
military
you can just
and
not
their
look at it
families.
as you're driving through the gate.
Exactly. You can just not look at it.
If you're in the Capitol, you don't have to look at the atheist display. You can
No,
just turn
go
your
look at
head
all
and
the
listen
other
else.
displays and just don't look at that display.
Sounds good
It's
to
not
me.
inconveniencing you.
I like that.
Yeah, I like having their argument. I like it when it comes from our side.
So awful.
I can see why it appeals to them.
We were going to cover the story this week, but Chris Clements is in our chat room, and I believe he's the dude who was part of the group that reserved the state capitol for all of the atheist groups, and so they had to tear down, the Christians had to tear down their nativity scene a week early, and couldn't do it during Christmas because the atheists had all the thing. And it was the same thing as this Orange, Texas thing, because then they all started screaming about, oh my God, the atheists are taking over. They won't even let us have our nativity scene. And it's like
They got equal time. Oh.
yeah. Well, but they said, the groups were like, they never asked us if we would, we would be perfectly willing to share it, but they didn't say they wanted to or whatever. I don't know.
That's such a childish thing. It's the same thing my boys do when they fight. Like, if Nathan wants something that Adam has and I'm going to take it away, Adam's like, fuck it, and just breaks it.
Wow.
He's like, if I can't have it, nobody can have
Kid's
it.
an asshole.
Yeah.
And no, it's on tape.
I don't know where he gets that from.
Someone wrap this episode up in a time capsule.
Ryan, are you
10 years,
listening? Ryan, are you there?
10 years from now.
Kristen, are you listening?
Oh, Jesus.
Man, if I did that so that when I was a kid, oh, my mom would have whipped the shit out of me if I did that. This is like good money you're throwing away.
Okay, Reb, we're not here to relive your childhood. I'm sorry, your mom.
Save it for the
Yeah.
post show, honey.
Wait, which, by the way, people out there, you should not beat your kids. It's not a good thing to do.
Post show.
The more you know. Usually we're telling people how to commit crimes, and now Reb's discouraging people.
My life experiences are not the thing you should live up to.
No. All right, so let's get the hell out of Texas for a little bit. Heads exploded in Australia this week when a local politician put up a nativity scene, which, come on, Australia.
They're fucking everywhere.
But hold on to this part, because this gets really offensive. They used black baby Jesus in their nativity scene. Bum, bum, bum.
Historically accurate Jesus?
We can't have that.
No, not historically accurate Jesus. Black baby Jesus. And certainly not the one true white baby Jesus. Totally the awful, horrible, terrible black version. The MP responsible for the display is Lizzie Blandthorne, and she said she was really surprised by by the backlash and said that it was just intended to include everyone because they have a very diverse community, and Jesus lived in the Middle East where there aren't a whole bunch of white people, so
It makes sense.
It's a little bit of a historically accurate Jesus, a little bit.
Although, if we're being historically accurate, Jesus probably didn't exist. At least not as depicted in the Bible.
Oh my God! This is my new thing. Every year, I'm going to put up a historically accurate nativity scene, and it's going to be nothing.
Well, I mean, you can still put up like the barn and the livestock.
Yeah, the barn might have still been there in Bethlehem. I mean, I'm sure they had barns in Bethlehem.
Right?
There just probably weren't two people with, dinosaurs over a baby or a buzzsaw or whatever the fucking picture is.
So, a Catholic priest actually defended the display, noting that the Black Nazarene, which I didn't know was a thing. Did anyone ever heard of the Black Nazarene before?
I had not
Sounds
until
racist. I don't know why.
I had
Sounds
not-
really racist.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's an image of Jesus as a black man that has been worshipped for over 400 years. And I've also seen Asian Jesus from Asian countries, because people.
I've seen Asian Santa Claus.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's blasphemous. I don't care. But people are super fucking self-absorbed, and they can't imagine something important in their lives not being done by someone who looks like them. And whether that's white people or black people or Asian people.
Well, God made them in his image, and they're white, and that's what's important. I think is their train of thought. I'm not crazy, so it's hard.
I don't think it has
for
anything
me to follow.
I don't think it has anything to do with the Bible. I think it just has to do with, if you're going to have a religion, you want something that reflects your identity.
Yeah.
And so white people
like
have
having things they relate to.
Yeah, well, I mean, white
That's
people are
human
going to have
nature.
a white god. Black people are going to have a black god. And it makes sense from a psychological perspective why you would want your god figure to emulate who you are as a person.
Well, then why not just make up your own damn religion? Why not go for Scientology?
Christian, isn't that what they did though? Made up their own damn religion.
No, like they stole it from the brown people, right?
Well, yeah, that's what we do though.
But they didn't really steal it. For a lot of people, in cultures it was forced on them.
Right,
Like,
it was-
Native Americans. It's like, you're Catholic now or you die.
No, I'm talking about white people. I'm talking about white racist people and their white Jesus.
Well, they keep the parts that they like, and then that's how they make their own religion.
But they didn't. They changed the part they didn't like, which was
Exactly.
Jesus was brown.
They keep what they want, and they take this and they move that, and
Cut
then
out
it's this.
brown Jesus and shoved a white dude in there. I don't know. So
I wonder if, the Pope, since he's from, Argentina, does he feel that Jesus is a white guy, or does he feel that he's, more of an Argentine person? Or does he think it's, a Middle Eastern guy?
Pope's a white guy. He thinks Jesus is white. I mean, we just went through this. Everyone wants Jesus to look like them.
I wonder. I wonder if different popes have always had, because there's been, different races of popes throughout history, so I wonder if...
Have there?
Yeah, I can't name one off the top of my head. I don't really keep it up with the popes, but they
follow the
haven't all been white, I
You don't have
assume.
snow
I
glo-
think
you don't
they
have,
have.
you have a collection of
Most of them
snow globe popes.
Are most of them
it-
European?
Let's see. So because it was a really big deal because they were considering electing a black pope this time, and then that didn't happen.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Nope.
No, there has not.
Oh, there has?
There's only been one, and that is Saint Peter, the original dude who
Is he the
started the whole
guy?
thing.
Is he the guy that does the pearly gate?
Yes,
entry?
that's the same
He's the
guy.
guy that takes the tickets now.
Right. Every other pope since
Wow,
the
just
church
assumed
was
there'd at
founded
least be, a
has been
couple.
European. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That blows my mind.
Does it?
It's just an assumption. I thought it's because they usually have popes from all over, so I figure
They don't.
at least one of them
No.
would be.
That's why this one
You
was
know,
so
off
big.
color
The
or whatever.
Argentinian was so big a deal, and it's Argentinian.
Ustreamer 7393 posits a penguin Jesus, which sounds pretty sexy to me.
Christian.
But Kensai87 says that the Black Nazarene is a statue carved by an anonymous Mexican sculptor and currently is housed in the Basilica of the Black Nazarene in Manila, which is a lot more about the Black Nazarene than I needed to know. but
Maybe
interesting.
chat room should do the show tonight, and we should all just go drink beer.
They seem far more prepared.
Right. they're a very knowledgeable group of people.
It's like the chat room last show was just a bunch of trolls, and this one actually is giving us good data.
You were the troll last
Yes,
last
I was
show.
the troll.
That was you.
But the chat room followed my lead.
We're not speaking of last week. So I have a few quotes from some of the local racists that I wanted to read. First was a woman who was outraged, but when she was told that people in the Middle East were dark-skinned, she replied that, quote, "You don't try and go off and change history, and this was really an offensive way, and Middle East is not black." You know, so she's very, very concerned about the history of Jesus if they're trying to make him black, but not so much if he's white.
Well, like one of the things she tried to deflect with is like, it's not just a race thing. They are also, if you looked at the baby, it didn't have a penis. It was a girl doll. And it's like, bitch, you're just racist. Stop deflecting. You know it's all about race. It had nothing to do with a fucking baby doll that's not anatomically correct. Bullshit.
Case Scary is trying to correct us, saying there have been 10 non-European popes, including Pope Francis. But Pope Francis has European heritage, though he was not from Europe, so it doesn't count. Okay. So then we got to the Christian trope that I am the most tired of all of them. This next person said, quote, "I understand your motivation, Lizzie, for your black Jesus in your nativity scene. I only hope you feel as free and at liberty to change the color, race, sex of Muhammad. Perhaps you could portray him as Chinese. Yes, good luck with that." Why do Christians always try to make their shit about Islam?
I gotta like at least give like the Muslims props. At least they're not trying to push the image of Muhammad on everybody.
That's one way of looking at that, I guess.
It's the troll way of looking at that.
They're not hanging up pictures of Muhammad everywhere. That's true.
No.
But if you draw one, oh no.
Yeah.
They've really gone in the opposite direction of Christianity.
It does keep the fussing out of it, though.
But you don't have to worry about there being, you know, a picture of Muhammad in classrooms.
It's just everything that I read from the locals here should have started with, "I'm not racist, but." Everything the locals said, "I'm not racist, but I understand the motivation. I'm not racist, but perhaps you could portray him as Chinese." Just everything could have started with, "I'm not racist, but," which means I'm racist as fuck and.
Or she didn't like the fact that it didn't have a penis. She could have just like made one out of clay and stuck it on there.
How? If you looked at the picture of that Jesus, though, he had like a little diaper on or whatever. Did she
must have
over there?
checked.
She was like looking
Yeah,
at
that's what I was wondering too. I was like, "You're racist and a pervert." Okay.
I gotta check out Jesus's junk here.
You ever find it interesting that, you know, culturally we can talk about something and it sounds completely different than the way someone in Europe would talk about something, the way they perceive something, the way someone over there would perceive something. But racism, it's pretty inclusive for everybody. Somebody
In Australia, it's about the same as it is in America.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much the same everywhere. You wouldn't know where that person was from. You can kind of maybe generally guess that someone's not from America if they're talking about their religion or the way they eat or the way their family structure is. You can tell there's cultural differences, but racism, it's pretty solid throughout. Hard to tell where someone's from when they're being a racist.
Unless they have an accent. Like a twang or something.
That's why we hate you.
I also just wanted to say, like, I have no problem, and you know, I get this from Christians all the time. We got this after we put up the bus bench ads, because we put up ads here in Corpus Christi, and we purposefully put them in front of churches. So, but some of the comments we kept getting were, "You wouldn't put that in front of a mosque." And it's like, if there was a bus bench in front of a mosque, I sure.
I looked. I wanted to.
You know, I don't. They must be so fearful. I don't have that fear of Islam. I mean, I understand that there are members of the Muslim community who are very, very violent, but I'm not afraid of it.
If we had like a atheist building or something, and there was a bus bench ad, and someone put up a Christian message on there to troll us or whatever, like I think I'd take selfies with it and just think it was funny. It wouldn't bother me at all. Well, maybe
I would sit on it when I was going to take the bus somewhere.
I also wanted to note that I think it's a sign that religion is waning in our culture, because the black baby Jesus thing got a lot less attention than the black Hermione Granger thing.
I don't know about.
You haven't
I
seen
know,
it?
right? I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
So you know who Hermione Granger is, right?
Right. Harry Potter.
Okay, I was like, I think I do.
So they're
Is she
doing
in CCA? I recognize the name.
they're doing a play, I think.
Yeah, there's a play in like Europe or something, and they've casted Hermione Granger as a black lady, and people are going apeshit because one, she's been depicted as a white girl.
Because they're going against history.
Okay, but in the movie, now I've never read any of the books.
Now
so
in the
I don't
book
know.
though, in general, it doesn't really describe her race in the book.
Right.
However, there are mentions in the book that she has a white face. There, you can find a quote where it talks about it. However, what's her face? The author tweeted out and said, I had never really specified a race, so she had bushy hair, big eyes, and she was really crafty and intelligent, and that's it. So she was all for it. Like,
So the
make her black.
author of the book doesn't care?
Yeah, the author of the book was all for making her a black lady. Thought it was great. And
Well, why
So
would anybody care unless they were racist?
Right.
it's the same thing whenever they turned Johnny Storm into a black guy.
Who's Johnny Storm?
Who
or
are
they
these
they
people?
made a female Thor, or they turned Starbuck into a woman. Every time they take an
Okay,
existing character and they
now-
change something.
When they take an artistic license
I
with a
don't.
character.
I don't particularly want a female Thor. That's
But there
only
is one in
because I
canon.
think movie Thor is particularly
It's
hot.
it's comic book, not movie.
Oh, okay. Well then, fuck. I don't care.
You just want your eye candy taken away, is what you're
That's
saying.
exactly.
Well, and
it,
also
yes.
Thor, they made Heimdall a black guy, and then I was like, "There's no black Norseman, so how is Heimdall a black guy? It doesn't make no
Oh
sense."
gosh, people are awful.
Yeah, it's just
Fuck.
yeah. You don't know who Heimdall is either, do you? That blank stare lets me know that you have no idea what I'm talking about.
I always stare at you like that when you're talking.
I actually had a conversation with an atheist about Starbuck, who, I was like,
Which is the name of my
Coffee?
cat.
I know who's Starbuck.
The coffee.
on Battlestar Galactica,
Okay.
Starbuck, who was originally a male character, and then they made it
Made her into like a badass, awesome lady. She's fucking cool as shit.
right. But we were talking about Thor, and I said, well, what about Starbuck? Blah 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 blah. And he's like, well, that's more recent. And I was like, that's before you were born, dude. Like, it's not even your lifetime. What do you mean more recent? I just
And one of the
can't
original
stand
with,
people.
Battlestar Galactica was like what, the 50s, right?
No, it was 70s.
Was it 70? Oh.
Yeah, it
That was
was.
Ferris remembers.
He was there. He
I
lived it. He
do. I
lived it.
do.
None of us remember the 70s.
Although it was kind of cool because the original Starbuck actually had a part in the reboot as a different character. So
Yeah. No, that was Apollo. Starbuck wasn't in it, was he?
no, I thought it was Starbuck.
Corpus Christi
the original-
Atheist meets every Sunday at
We're
5:30.
nerding out right now.
This weekend we'll be meeting at B&J's Pizza on SBID just east of Airline. If you don't know where that is, you can visit ccatheist.com for a list of our public events. Please visit our Facebook page where we will continue arguing over whether it's Apollo or Starbuck in the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, and it's totally Apollo.
It might be now that I think about it, but I'm pretty sure it was Starbuck.
You're wrong. Okay, this week, Pope Francis gave final clearance for Mother Theresa to become a saint. Yay! Yes, the same woman who allegedly withheld pain medication from dying people so she could shoot them in the back room after they died. That's the way everyone remembers that story. Okay, good. All right, so
It's like that's not what I read, but I'm just gonna go with it.
That wasn't included in the show sheet.
no one's going to challenge me on that.
I was reading the chat room. I'm sorry.
Well, if there's anything good in that, let me know. In order to become a saint, you have to have 2 verified miracles occur after your death. Did anyone read what the miracle was, the second one that just occurred?
The only one I saw was the guy that healed or miraculously healed from the was it the brain
Yeah, the
Brain
bacteria?
virus.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a first one.
Yeah, I just saw the one too.
Yeah, but I just wanted to talk about the second one because that one is amazing. So this guy had a viral brain infection. He was dying. He was in a coma. It was not going well for him. So his family, they all got together. They started praying, asking other people to pray to Mother Teresa to heal him. And it totally worked. The miracle took place. Right after he got out of surgery, he was totally better. It was so miraculous.
After he got out of medical surgery, not prayer surgery.
No, they were praying while he was in surgery, and
So
then he
it's
got
happening
out
at the
of.
same time it counted.
Oh, I thought they opened his head and yelled prayers into his brain,
They could have been
into the hole in his
I
skull.
kinda feel like
in
that's
their
where it
mind.
should
That's
go.
what they were doing.
Oh.
Time out. Game on.
No, my biggest problem with this is people talk about, oh, what's the harm, and turning into a saint or whatever. And my biggest thing is, like, for this guy in particular, he recovered, and it was not expected because most people die from this. But what's going to happen in the future, though, is if someone else gets this and there's medical research, people are either going to be pushed away from this particular case because it has church involvement in it, and or other people are going to look at it and just completely ignore it and think, oh, it's a miracle, if they happen to be like a Catholic, doctor or scientist. And so in the future, when it comes down, someone has in a similar situation, there's going to be less medical knowledge about this guy's case in order to further that that cure that could have possibly been found, but now no one can because the church is going to push back on it.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen because I think the doctors are going to be sitting there going, "Fuck you, dude! We just spent 12 hours working on this guy's brain, and you're gonna say this old dead woman did it."
Oh, I feel like
Next time, do that shit before you spend the time in. We spend out having surgery.
How did she make a miracle after she
someone
was
prayed
dead?
to her to
Oh, she doesn't have to do miracles while she's alive?
No.
Apparently,
after
there's
they're
a
dead.
loophole.
No. It's expected that the miracles happen after the death.
It's
of
not
the
a
saint.
miracle if you did it while you were alive.
Well, no, that would actually be a miracle.
actually be.
That would be a miracle.
Yeah, I totally thought it was the other way. It had to happen when they were alive.
Yeah, I thought she had to.
But
Oh,
I
the
don't.
fuck. I'm not even Catholic and I feel ripped off right now.
Did you think it was a real miracle? Is that what your problem is?
Well, I thought at least it had to be a
Like
good
she did the
magic
surgery?
trick, like some amazing sleight of hand or something.
Or at least that she was in the area or something, just where she actually had something to do with this person. That's
Right,
what I
like-
always thought.
there was a
But
Like
picture
a
of her.
correlation
Oh,
of
okay, there was a
something.
Someone had
in
a
the room.
candle and they said her name 3 times.
Oh, are there going to be Mother Teresa candles in the dollar store now?
did they have to turn off the lights and
Is
say
that
it
what
3 times
these-
into the mirror?
Is that what being a saint is? Like you're not really a saint until your picture's on a candle in a dollar store?
Pretty much, yeah.
Guess what y'all are getting for Christmas?
Just in time for the Mother Teresa movie to come out, and then you can buy a souvenir for your friend.
I would, if you get me a Mother Teresa candle that actually burns down. Oh, I'm all about it. I want to burn that.
Oh, I got some work to do.
No, I just feel like the Vatican's if people try to use that research and anything, that it feels like there's going to be some pushback. From
I don't
them
think
on
so.
it.
I think these doctors are going to be sitting there saying, "Whatever, man. The church is going to go off and do their thing." But here's what I'm saying: is that, and this is what I was alluding to at the beginning of the show. Do they really believe this? I mean, I know the family does, but do you think your average run-of-the-mill Catholic is sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, it had nothing to do with surgery. It was all Mother Teresa hanging out with Jesus, saying,
I know my
hey,
grandma
this-
would probably believe it.
Oh, a friend's wife, a guy that I went to high school with, I wouldn't call him a friend, Facebook friend. Something happened to her 2 days ago. It's very vague on Facebook. 330 comments later, every single one sending prayers. Sending prayers.
It's so useful.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, 500 likes. And I'm like, this is insane to me. For so many people, there was one in all that bunch saying, okay, so when is the doctor going to get there? When is she having surgery?
Right.
And it's just all these people are fucking insane. I cannot believe. 300 people prayer sending every single. I had to look through all of them to see it for myself, and I was just like, wow, I've never had 300 comments.
I have a Facebook friend who has started doing this thing. I would give her credit if I could remember who she was, but I can't remember her name. She's just a Facebook friend. But she goes into those threads and will just post a comment saying, "Say amen if you have ever been filmed having sex with a horse." It's just a line of amens just below it. The best screenshots ever. So everyone, that's your homework for the week. Go out and do that somewhere.
Looks like something Artie would do. I always see his little posts where he says no or I will not.
I have gone back and hit previous comments so many times to find one of you guys just to go reply LOL underneath.
Facebook have a deal where it's like, I don't want to look at everyone else's comment. I want to go straight to my friend's comment. I want to go straight to that one. Fuck Facebook.
It lets you do that.
You should write them a sternly worded letter. Not on those posts, they don't.
No,
It takes me forever, and I'm just like, I'm drinking.
It's like, I don't even care anymore. It's like, I would love to like your post, Artie, but I can't now.
Sometimes I feel like I want to comment something really smart ass and then just tag all of you guys in it. Should you feel like coming by to also like marvel
so
at my smart assness?
So aside from torturing sick people because she believed that Jesus loved suffering, and that's true. I can't verify the thing where she was doing drugs in the background, but Mother Teresa is also famous for the letters she wrote that came to light after her death, where she expressed her doubts about whether there was a God.
She's supposed to be the saint of the faithless because of that, right?
Oh, that would be great.
I think
she did that.
I think she's supposed to be like saint of the faithless. She'd be our saint.
I just figured they're doing
I don't want her.
I know, right? Send her back. No.
Can we return her?
Like, well, since we're the faithless, shouldn't you ask us if that's who our representative? Like, can we vote? Like president? Like, we don't want that as our representative.
Do we need a quorum?
Do saints come with like a gift receipt where you can just take it back?
Well, that's when you get the candle, you return it to the Catholic shopping.
I mean, I don't know if that's still what they're planning on making her a saint of, but because of that letter after she did her miracles after death, which is bullshit. I'm really upset about that.
You're so distressed about that.
I am. No one's there to witness it. Like, it could have been anything anyway.
Or the doctors working on her.
It could have been the doctors.
What? But they prayed.
And then they said there's no explanation for it besides all the work we did.
But and the years and years of medical school and experience and antibiotics but anyway, yeah, because of that letter after she died, if she performed these after death miracles, air quotes, that she was going to be saint of the faithless. So yeah, she would be our Catholic representative.
Go ahead and do whatever fucking thing you're gonna do.
The fuck, man?
God damn it! You're the worst person. Go do it.
I don't want to interrupt the show or
Just
anything.
do it.
You already have.
You know the rule. We're all sitting here with open beers.
So Mother Teresa, in those letters where she was talking about how
violence on the show, violence.
Petey got hit. And there's video evidence.
Kristen, get that.
All right. So in those same letters where she said she was having doubts about her faith, she also said the following, which is just the best. She said, "If I ever become a saint, I will surely be one of darkness."
Darkness.
She's the patron saint of the Sith. It's awesome. We need like a picture of Mother Teresa with a red lightsaber. That's
which is the blue and white, just like red and black for her shroud or whatever she wears. Oh,
hey,
so metal.
Chat
so
room
metal.
with the filters and the Googling pictures of Mother Teresa and the new Star Wars lightsaber filters.
There you go.
We need a picture of Mother Teresa.
They're all there. Go for it, guys.
With the lightsaber. So can we make that happen and post it in Atheist Airwaves on Facebook,
and if
please?
it's good, Christian will make it the headline
There you
picture.
go.
Ooh, you could be famous for like a week.
Right? You'll be Atheist Airwaves famous, which is not famous at all.
Hey.
Hey, we got like a couple of followers or something.
Ustreamer7393 in the chat room asks if Mother Teresa enjoyed the holy loophole. And I'm just going to go ahead and say yes. Mother Teresa was a big fan of the anal.
I think so. I think I've read that somewhere.
Well, she was
too.
into pain and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
It's
that's
probably
true.
like an S&M.
Going
and stuff
dry
like
is
that.
what that's kind of like in the stained glass window. That's what it says in.
Brace yourself, I'm going in dry. Spike the pillow, I'm going in dry.
Screaming seagull, let's do this.
I hope someone makes that Sith thing. That would just be marvelous.
Okay. The last thing I just wanted to mention, I think we talked about this before, but I just want to say it again because I find it really fucking annoying, is this dumb movie they're making about her where they're just going to whitewash everything and just pretend like she was this wonderful person who wasn't doing drugs in the back room and enjoying anal sex while people were suffering in her hospitals. They're going to skip the whole part where she was funneling money that was intended for the poor and sending it to the Vatican. All that stuff gets erased, and it's all, oh, look at this lovely old lady who doesn't really believe in God and is the saint of darkness. But
So metal.
Saint of darkness.
all right, let's move on. I think this next story is actually my favorite lawsuit decision of the year.
Oh, we're not doing the Pope Francis.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I wasn't going to, but we can talk about that briefly. What the hell?
Well, because my first, because of the basically story is about there was a kid that the Pope blessed on his way through New York when he visited, and it turns out that child has unfortunately died and succumbed to his disease. And
Why didn't he get his miracle?
yeah, well, I mean, because one of the first things like I thought when I read the article headline was like, "Ha, take that, Pope Frank, your shit don't work." And I was like, "Oh no," like I became Jay for a second.
Yeah, no, I had that same moment. Like when I first saw that story. So it's a little kid, he got blessed by the Pope, and his family's all like, "Oh, it's gonna totally save him." No, it totally didn't.
Yeah.
Well, that's the worst part about stories like this, that they think that having faith in this person or this thing or this ideology is going to just save them from anything and everything, when
I have to give the parents
So,
credit, though. I
it's
mean, they
like,
weren't one of those Christian Scientist people or whatever where they, don't take any medical care. That kid was on chemo and the whole thing. I mean, it was just something extra they did as well. So I find it hard to fault the family for anything besides the fact that they, got a placebo from the fucking Pope. But yeah, that was. Yeah, I feel kind of bad. It's like, oh no, in my hunt to destroy monsters, I became one myself.
The reason I kind of coupled those two stories is because, if this guy had died while they were praying for Mother Teresa, no one would have noticed, and someone would have survived something while someone was praying for Mother Teresa, and she'd still be a saint. If this kid had lived, he'd be an example of the power of the Pope, and more people would be stealing his drink glasses and drinking his backwash.
That fucking guy.
Yeah.
I can't believe we have like United States senators that do that.
Yeah, it's gross. But I mean, it's all. Why are you doing that? It's all confirmation bias, and it's all not looking at the misses and only looking at the hits, and then
which is important. Like, how many people prayed to Mother Teresa to heal their fucking kid after she died, and they didn't fucking live? Like, count all those up and compare it to the two that I guess happened.
nobody keeps those stats,
Well, then maybe they oughta.
That's true.
I feel like you could do like a class action lawsuit against
You thought you were going to be a saint? Nope, give it back. Give
It's
it
like
back.
we all prayed to you, and you're obviously not a saint.
The Catholic Church is misrepresenting her abilities and the effectiveness of. So, when can we make that happen? That's what I want to
That
say.
seems like a thing that should hapen.
Let's all pray to Mother Teresa now so we can get in on that action.
We have to wait till she's our designated saint, though, right?
No, because she healed the guy and she's not even a saint yet.
Apparently, yeah, she's been doing it for a while now.
Yeah.
So what happens? What's the perk of sainthood?
People remember you, I guess.
I mean, she's gonna get a movie. That's a far better way to be remembered.
Like, what's the benefit
no?
of getting a medal? It's
Like, do you get like a suite in heaven?
Well, I
or
guess
something?
technically,
Or
yeah. Theologically, you're
like endless drink tickets or endless soup and salad or whatever. I just don't know what
I assume in heaven there's like a special place for saints, and they get some sort of special treatment for being a saint.
like the special velvet roped off, like they get bottle service or whatever.
Yeah, so all the
They
lap
get the
dances they
pajamas
want.
with the slippers.
Right.
She's into anal, so apparently there'll be plenty of that up in heaven. And she wants to pay for.
She gets
pay with
first
Would
it.
be
dibs.
in my heaven.
She's not at the end of the line. She's up front.
You don't have to wait till heaven for that, Heather.
that is heaven.
Sorry, Reb. I like you as a friend.
Friend zone.
I didn't put in enough friend tokens yet. What the hell?
You didn't put in nice tokens till sex fell out?
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
When do you upgrade?
You need to get credit for that kind of thing. You don't
I didn't get a receipt. I think that's the problem. I didn't get a receipt.
All right. So, moving on. I think that this next story is actually my favorite lawsuit decision of the year. And this one really surprised the hell out of me. I don't know if anyone else was expecting this to turn out the way it did. But in 2013, a Catholic high school offered the job of Director of Food Services to Matthew Barrett. Matthew accepted the position, but when he was filling out his new hire paperwork, he so foolishly, like he's not even a Catholic, listed his husband as his emergency contact. And that ended about as predictably as it could. The Catholics started yelling about gay cooties and running all over the place, and they rescinded his job offer. So Matthew sued the school for wrongful termination, and this week he friggin' won. Yeah, but I'm the only one who thought that they would totally get away with that stuff.
Well, I figured they would too, but I mean, the justification seemed reasonable.
While I was reading it, I was like, oh, wow. Oh, cool.
This is way too reasonable.
Yeah.
So what was the reason, Christian?
Oh, okay. So the school had argued that they had an obligation to make sure their staff modeled the values of their church, and that being gay is immoral, and so did not model those values. But the judge was like, no way, nope. The head of the cafeteria is not teaching ethics classes. It's not in charge of whatever. This guy was not advocating for people to be gay. He wasn't trying to recruit students. He was just trying to list his goddamn husband as the fucking emergency contact in case he got sick or something.
It's a shame his husband didn't have like a gender neutral name.
Right. Like,
oh, yeah.
So no, it's my wife. It's my wife.
It's Taylor or Kelly, whatever. So the judge also noted that they employed non-Christians and Christians who had been married outside of the church, and I'll bet you they have a bunch of employees who are having sex outside of marriage because sex is pretty awesome.
Bet you some of them are even giving each other blowjobs and stuff.
Right?
What?
Yep. And I'll bet you a bunch of them are using birth control. There's condoms all up inside that shit.
See, and I would be absolutely, because they're blah, blah religion, blah, blah private school, I would be on board with that decision if they then went through and made sure that none of their staff had been divorced, and none of their staff had tattoos, and none of their staff had kids out of wedlock.
Or were wearing polyester.
Right.
Or went to Red Lobster.
Right.
Well, and so I really, this decision makes me happy that we're actually holding religious people to standards in this country, which is nice. But it also concerns me a little bit because if it makes them become more accepting, it's not going to drive as many people out of the religion as it would. And so I'm a little worried, A, that they'll just be like, well, I guess we're going to have to hire a bunch of goddamn gay people. But at the other end is what you're saying, which is if they decided instead to start excommunicating people and saying, no, we're a religious organization. We require you to not only believe what we believe, but to actually be a Catholic.
Right.
You know, that would be outstanding. If they started excommunicating gay people, yes. Throw them all out. That'd be great.
For mankind.
Right.
Not for the people who are being thrown out of their chosen religion, which, why are you there anyway?
I don't understand that. I've got some gay friends on Facebook that constantly post, like, you know, Jesus-y, God-y stuff. And I'm like, but he hates you.
Yeah.
Your existence is a defilement of his, thoughts.
And even if you think that Jesus came and changed all that from the Old Testament, if Jesus is God, God at one point thought your behavior was worthy of death. That who you are is so bad, you should have rocks thrown at your head until you're dead.
At one point, he thought that was a good thing.
Right. And Paul, who came after Jesus' death, agreed with him on that. So
and wrote about it in Romans, in the New Testament.
Yeah. So I do not understand gay people or even women. Why are women fans of Jesus?
I'm not.
Not it.
We've got 2 exceptions, but other than that, chicks dig Jesus a lot in this country. And it makes no sense to me at all.
It's even like groups dedicated to women and to church and shit.
It's crazy.
Although to play like devil's advocate for a second,
Oh, Jesus.
You?
if for instance, like the church has like a raffle or something to raise money for the football team or some bullshit, and it's expected, that teachers will bring their family, students bring their family, that kind of stuff. If the students are there and they see the food guy there with his husband, wouldn't that be a showcasing of Catholic principles to the students?
Yes, but it doesn't matter because that's not his job. His job isn't to showcase Christian principles. His job is to make sure that they have something to eat when they come to school. What I want to know is, does this ruling leave open the way for gay Christians to sue the church for not officiating their gay weddings? It seems to me like kind of.
Well, the priest is like immune from most of that kind of stuff, because like this is a school that's ran by the church. It's
a
not,
religious institution,
right? But it's not. There's not like a priest teaching the kids in the classes.
Sure.
It should be.
Well,
Yeah, if that's it.
In the Catholic school I went to, there absolutely were. I mean,
That's what I see in the movies.
in my high school, our high school was connected to, I forget, the rectory? I don't know. The priest lived at the high school.
That's creepy.
Of course they
Yeah.
did.
We had a really great priest who, he was the meanest guy on the planet, but he would, after school, you would always be able to see him on top of the high school, pacing back and forth, drinking. And that's just what he did every day.
That sounds stable.
Yeah. Like,
Waiting to jump.
If you want to confess to anything that he might have done to you while you were there, this is a
Post-show.
safe space.
Post-show.
that's post-show.
Right? You're going to have to pay $1 to find that shit out.
Gotta see the green for that.
I don't want to talk about it.
We need to get a doll in here.
Sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about post-show dollars, Ferris. Okay, take one for the team.
Fine.
Child molestation isn't funny. Let's quit joking about that.
That's true too.
Okay.
Unless your kid's an
Moving
asshole.
on.
Okay. So Eric Feit was sentenced this week. Is that funny?
No, Reb's face is funny. I'm
He
sorry.
gets that a lot.
Face. I'll get last where I can get him.
Eric Feit was sentenced to more than 8 years in prison this week for providing material support to terrorists for his part in a terror plot that he hatched with a member of the KKK. And because people make assumptions, Feit is a white dude, and so is the member of the KKK, which I know you're all shocked about. Yeah.
Could have been a.
Super weird. It's super weird
Shut
how
up.
little
It couldn't have been.
how little diversity there is in the Ku Klux Klan. That's really strange, isn't it?
Their minority outreach program is failing. horribly.
They just don't know how to talk to people.
Right. I mean, it's like the GOP, and they were going to reach out to Hispanics or whatever, and they just can't do it.
I mean, who really wants to join like this faceless organization where they wear masks all the time? That would, it's kind of a barrier to feeling included and accepted.
The Empire never had trouble recruiting stormtroopers, so I'm just saying, if you do it right, if you have a good minority outreach program, Emperor Palpatine could teach these guys a little something. That's what I guess I'm saying. So anyway, these guys had a plan, and their plan was to obtain an X-ray machine. They were going to modify it to release lethal doses of radiation. They were going to mount it in the back of a van, which I assume they were living in down by the river. And then they were going to go light up mosques with it, pull up, bathe the place in lethal doses of radiation, and just kill Muslim Americans wherever they could find them.
And not only Muslim Americans, because they also wanted to kill people, officials that were sympathetic to a Palestinian state as well.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't even see that. That's no.
Well, because originally, like the guy ended up going to like a Jewish temple, whatever those are called. What are those?
Temple.
There's just Jewish temple. Okay. So yeah, apparently he went there like looking for people that wanted to help him out as well, and like I just don't know how that works. Like you just
Well,
go in there.
see,
and...
now, Now, my question here is, I don't know why this is the direction they would have went, because everybody knows when you get this science-y, that's how superheroes and supervillains are made. What if they would have hit these Muslims with this radiation, and then they would have had Hulk Muslims?
Dude.
Then what the fuck would they have done?
Backfiring, right? Oh.
We need to make that movie.
Somebody needs to get on that in the chat room now. Movie poster tonight.
I see they went to the Acme School of Terrorism.
Sorry, that's Spence already said in the chat room. But I do want to correct him
was
because
hilarious.
they actually went to the FBI School of Terrorism because they reached out to people to try and gather materials for their plan.
Right, and how do you do it? Is it like Schrodinger's terrorist or something where you're just like, hey, anyone want to kill Muslims? No? Oh, I was just kidding. Yeah, no, just wondering. Yeah. Like, I don't know how you go about recruiting people. I don't know. I guess it's probably a chat room on the internet somewhere.
Probably, yeah. But
Probably our chat room on the internet.
unfortunately, the people
And other crimes.
the people they contacted were FBI agents who sold them an X-ray machine that was disabled, and they just watched. They were just in the FBI van on the street. Watched. They're actually working on it.
But that's how it always happens. Like, anytime you hear about someone who hired someone to kill their spouse, they always hire the undercover cop.
Right.
You know, whenever you always hire the undercover hitman.
I think what happens is they actually talk to real people, and the real people are like, "That's fucked
That's
up."
insane. I'm
I'm
calling the
calling
cops.
Yeah, it just kind of leaks towards the.
Like, I mean, they're probably
Even other people in the KKK were like, what?
You're gonna
guarantee
build a
you-
death ray? Man, that's even too crazy for me, man.
No, they're probably like, "You're gonna create Hulk Muslims."
Wait a minute.
This is how that shit
They
gets
don't
started.
know that wasn't going to happen.
They're gonna be like so powerful they can wear bomb belts and not die. That's not what you want to create.
They're going to Muslim smash.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did you see what they named their terrorist organization?
Oh, the Guild?
They named it the Guild. How uninspired.
These were World of Warcraft people, weren't they?
I don't know what the guild is. Is it because I have sex? Is that why I don't know what the guild is?
Oh man, don't shame.
Don't nerd shame
us.
me.
Yeah.
No, it's just
So yes, it is because I have sex, but I don't. You could have just said
Plenty of
yes.
sex. I can have sex whenever I want
no, it's just
because I know what.
But
the
not
Guild
when you
is.
found out what the guild was.
my terrorist organization name would have been a lot cooler. I think
What would it have been?
it would be like There Will Be Blood or like the Super Friends or something.
Like you were going so well, and then you got down to Super Friends.
Well, it depends on where you're going. You want to be like accepting. It's like, oh, we're a bunch of super, or like we're gonna kill you. There's gonna be blood. Just depends on which way you want your terrorist organization to go.
You're recruiting.
Do you want it to be a
tactics.
book club or do you want it to be a terrorist organization?
Why not both?
There's certain implication that comes with terrorist organization.
I think Super Friends would have worked. God bless you.
Sorry, people.
What would you name your terrorist organization if you're so smart?
Death to Reb.
I'm joining that organization.
I already have a follower. Okay. Good luck with your super friend.
Tell me what you wish, and it will be done.
I got a crony.
We know
Excuse
where he
me,
lives.
I'm a minion and not a crony.
I'm getting you overalls.
Jeff Grime in the chat room says Felicia Day is awesome. She should sue them. I would be all about that. And yes, Felicia Day is awesome.
It's pretty cool.
It's really the thing that disturbs me the most. Okay, maybe not the most. So like trying to irradiate Americans because you don't like them is disturbing. But the thing that really bothers me about this is that no one knows about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I had never heard of this going down.
I had never heard of it.
Even in my echo chamber, I didn't see that article ever shared.
Right, and we find and post some pretty obscure stuff.
Yeah. And I think if this guy had been a brown person named Muhammad, we would have been talking about it.
It's like the terrorists have upgraded to super organized villains from a
death
comic
parade.
book.
They're trying to create Muslim hulks.
Okay, but to be fair, I don't want Christian hulks any more than I want Muslim hulks. Can we all agree on that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
No.
I don't want to kill Christians and I want to kill Muslims. I don't kill anybody.
But I don't also want hulks.
Yeah, no hulks.
No hulks. no Jesus smosh. No, I don't want that either.
I have to make Atheist Airwaves t-shirts because we owe them to some people. But maybe no Muslim hulks would be a good t-shirt. Like, if anyone has any good t-shirt ideas, let me know. But, okay, so... Oh, Kensai87 in the chat room has a good point. What about atheist hulks? Are we okay with atheist hulks?
Isn't that what you and Rev are?
I know, right? You're
I
outspoken.
mean, I
in your
know I've been going to the
head.
gym lately. I don't know if I'm quite there yet.
He's working towards...
You guys are trolly when you're angry.
You're mad about something and you're gonna tell somebody. Oh no!
Right?
post about it on Facebook.
You won't like
Everyone
me
will
being
hear what I
oppressed.
have to say.
Right?
But this kind of supports what I've been saying recently. The first thing
Should
being...
totally make atheist Hulk shirts. Sorry.
You can just turn off our mics so we can have our own side conversation over here like we want to anyway.
So I really feel like this demonstrates that we are this close. I mean, we like to pride ourselves on being so civilized and we would never have religious terrorism in our country.
Suicide bombers in our country.
Right. Christianity is so much better than Islam. We are this close. We are so close. I mean, these guys are Christian
Well, it's not
terrorists.
like they haven't already done things like that, like firebombing fucking abortion centers. I mean, they've already been doing it for a while. It just doesn't get near as much coverage.
People forget about those a lot quicker than any time that it's somebody that's
It's like that guy that just
brown
shot up like what was it, 12 people on that? I mean, no one cares a shit about that anymore.
Yeah. Well, and I talked about this in a post show a few weeks ago, I think. I was at a Christmas party and someone was one Christian was relating a story about some kids who tried to blow up their high school, failed, and were arrested. The other Christian guy said, were they Muslims? And he said, no, they're white guys. And for those of you who say, oh, Muslim's not a race, a lot of people assume it is. And this guy literally said, as long as their name wasn't Ahmed, I'm not concerned about it. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, we're okay with...
Like, they could have killed a whole bunch of kids at the school,
Right.
and you don't care?
You don't care? As long as they were white kids, it's okay. Oh, white kids will be kids and blow up their high schools. Like you do. I mean, I saw Heathers.
That's a really good movie, by the way.
It is a really good movie.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, you should totally see that movie. Oh, we should have a movie night. Okay.
Everyone, there's another girl that I work with named Heather, and we always walk around and chat, and everyone always goes, Heathers, and I always have to go,
They're watching you.
I thought we were
Because
talking
I've
about
never-
Heather's awful kid and how he's going to one day bomb a school or something. That's what I thought we were talking about.
If my ex-husband calls me and tells me that my kid just got picked up with the FBI because you said that on the internet, I'm going to kick your ass.
He's only like, 8 or something?
I have
Just so you know.
I have money on Heather
I hate Rib.
in that fight.
Kick.
Well, I assume he
ass.
doesn't know
Your
how to make a
ass.
bomb yet. I mean,
A.D. Cantu in the chat room is noting that Bruce Banner is a scientist and he beat up a god
what?
in the Avengers. So,
Thor.
oh, nerd! Nerd! You knew a nerd thing!
Well, it was actually Loki, but
Yeah.
And Thor.
It wasn't. It
wasn't
wasn't
Thor.
He
Avengers.
fought with Thor, too.
Okay.
He did, in the
Okay,
hangar.
nerd. Okay, nerd. Okay. The second thing I wanted to relate to this before we got completely sidetracked again is something I already talked about. So,
Exactly.
It was
Fucking
super
bad.
important.
yep. So before we move on, I want to remind everyone of upcoming events. So, day after tomorrow, Christmas Eve, December 24th. There are many names for that day. We have a homeless giveaway.
I think it would be better worded as a homeless supply giveaway.
Homeless. Oh, we're not giving away homeless people.
It's like we kept going back to the same thing. It was like, we're not giving away homeless. We're giving away supplies to the homeless.
To the homeless. Okay, I can go with that.
He's such a fucking troll.
So we're going to be giving away
dude.
supplies. So this last weekend at our meetup, we had a very efficient assembly line. Where
You're welcome.
where we assembled the packages we were going to be giving away on Wednesday?
Thursday.
Christmas Eve day.
Yeah. So come out to that if you can.
4 o'clock.
Thank you. 4
At
o'clock.
the
Artesian
Artisan
Park.
Park.
Artesian Park.
Artesian? Oh.
I kept saying artisan, and I got
Artisanal Park.
Who decided that?
Okay, so the other thing is that we are reviving the Corpus Christi Atheists book club. The first book we're going to read is a book I think most of us have already read, but there's a bunch of new people who haven't. So we're going to be reading Peter Boghossian's A Manual for Creating Atheists.
That's why I like this book club, because I've already read the book.
Oh, awesome. I was going to say I can do it this 1 week because I've already read the book. I'm not going to read any new books,
All right.
but I've already read that one.
So we're going to get together in the first week of February. We're going to try and see if we can get Anthony Magnabosco to come down and talk with us about it also. So
He's a cool guy.
he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's
And,
a really cool guy. He's so laid back.
So we're going to try and make that happen. But go get your copy right now. You can get it at Audible if you want it in audiobook form, or just go to Amazon and grab it in hard copy version.
It'll change the way you talk to theists for the rest
Or
of your life.
even the thing that I liked about it, beyond the fact that it changes the way you talk to theists, it changed a lot about the way I thought about things too. So just even internally, it changed a lot of things. So I cannot recommend that book enough. Finally, patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves. If you would like to support our show for as little as $1 an episode, you can get access to our post shows and many other things, including t-shirts and whatnot. So head over there, and if you would like to, you can support us there. If you'd like to get access to our post show content, just show up live 7:30 p.m. Central every Tuesday, and you can listen to it live. All right, so moving on. Larisha, I assume that's how you say that name. Larisha Hawkins is a tenured political science professor at Wheaton College, which is a private 4-year evangelical Protestant university. This week, she was suspended without pay for a Facebook post in which she wore a hijab and expressed solidarity with Muslims facing discrimination, noting that though she was a Christian, she worshipped the same God as Muslims did. And apparently...
Which is historically accurate.
Right. But apparently the people who run the university are unaware of that or don't want other people to know that, I guess.
It would give them a bad rap. It's like, oh, shit, we worship the same God ISIS does. That's going to hurt our recruiting measures.
Oops.
I do kind of... This story made me think of a great way to troll Christians, especially like Art Walk. Is instead of saying, oh... do you believe in God? It's like, oh, do you believe in Allah? And let's just talk about your faith in Allah. And just use that word. Because that's just the Arabic word for God. It's not a different God. It's the same one.
I feel like that would engender a lot of confusion into the conversation, and you just get stuck there for a while.
And it'd be so hilarious.
But you gotta record that.
And then we play it on the show.
I mean, there's a lot of similarities. They think that God is the intelligent designer of all creation.
They both think women are shitty.
Yeah, that's true. That's
They
true.
think they're the only one.
Right? They both think that God sent prophets. One of the main differences is that Christianity recognizes Jesus as the embodiment of God,
Right.
but the Muslim religion or Islamic religion just recognizes Jesus as a prophet,
Correct.
just as any other, like Muhammad or whatever.
They believe in Jesus and they believe in the second coming. They just don't believe that Jesus is a God.
Right. That's pretty much where the main
Yeah, they both think homosexuals are
differences.
shitty.
right, and they believe that Mary was the mother of Jesus, that it was an immaculate virgin birth or pregnancy and birth and all that. So I mean, they believe in Jesus too.
Do they believe Jesus was hung on a cross and all that
Yeah.
too?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because in the Quran it says that when Jesus comes again, he's coming to break the cross. I don't know what that means. I've never had someone give me a good answer to that, but Yes, they believe he was
Hulk
crucified.
Jesus.
That's exactly what it is.
And they both believe the second coming and that there will be a judgment day and that Jesus specifically is coming to kill the Antichrist.
I don't know what Kensai87's comment in the chat room means, but he just said 7 things Hillary Clinton has in common with your abuela. I don't know what that means, but it's interesting. I would read that article if there is one, so someone send it to me. Or write it.
I hate that Star Wars quote she did at the debate. Oh, it just pissed me off. It's like, stop stealing my thing.
You're not cool. You're not going to be cool. So people have been trying to get to the bottom of exactly what was wrong with what she said to get her suspended without pay. And most of the university won't talk. The only explanations coming from that community are that she should have also, in addition to noting that they worship the same God, she should have also noted that the differences between Islam and Christianity. And like the whole point of the post was solidarity and acceptance. You don't write a...
Maybe she needed to include just like one sentence that said that, although there are differences, we also have a lot in common, blah, 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 the rest of her post.
But what difference does it make? As long as she's not misrepresenting her faith, and she wasn't, why do you have to put an asterisk on anything? Just say, hey, stop treating Muslims like crap. There have been 19 hate crimes this week against Muslims. She was just reacting to that.
And what was that other college where the campus president was like, we should all get concealed handgun license so that as soon as a Muslim shows up, we can all shoot him real quick.
What?
Yeah. I think it was Liberty University.
Yeah.
Oh, near.
Christian university.
And then after that, you had to back up. It's like
put
only
airports.
terrorists if they show up, not just Muslims in general. Seems like if you're making a statement like that, you should be like really specific about who you should be shooting.
Well, except that he was really specific about who he should be shooting or who everyone should be shooting until someone called him out on his shit. Yeah. He meant the thing he said.
It was rather
You will
heinous.
find that most people mean the thing they say the first time.
It was rather heinous.
So the school and this professor, who has tenure, were engaged in talks to rectify the situation. Today, those talks broke down, and she says that it's her impression that they're going to try and fire her, but that she's going to fight it. And I have to say, based on the facts, and based on the fact that she has tenure at this university, I like her chances. I mean, I can't find anything fireable.
Yeah, couldn't she like, jerk off with like a statue of like the Virgin Mary and still keep her job?
What? What are you even talking about?
I just assume like she's got tenure. She can do pretty much whatever she wants.
Sorry, I'm.
You really want to see what Hillary has in common with your abuela?
Yeah. Sorry, I gotta.
That
I
can't wait
gotta
till
link.
post show. We should totally hold that for post show.
I'm marking it for post show.
Okay, good.
God. It's not my first day, guys. Come on. I just don't want to have to scroll through to find it again. Okay. Last story of the night.
Oh, I do want to add in. Like I saw another article where there's been some Muslim pushback against like saying like, hey, like we'd really appreciate it if people who weren't Muslims didn't wear hijabs because that's specific to our religious beliefs or something.
Get over it. Most of the people in your religion don't want to wear them. Just be happy when someone outside of your religion decides they do, right?
You don't look at that as like cultural appropriation or anything.
I don't care.
I guess.
I mean, in this case, not in this case. No. I mean, I will say there are legitimate cases of cultural appropriation. I think that it's way overblown. I think people overstate it, and I think that if you live in a culture that is accepting of all people, things are going to start overlapping and bleeding, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. There are bad ways to culturally appropriate things. I don't think this is one of them. To wear a religious garment in a statement of solidarity, get the fuck out. Be better to your allies. That's all I got to say to that. Just don't shit on allies. Stupid. Okay. I don't even think that.
Mad I made a question. I know. I was just
about respecting allies. That line is like, I've heard this before.
So moving on to the next story, I was surprised to find out that the state of Florida is surprisingly progressive around student rights and the Pledge of Allegiance. I had no idea about this, but currently in the state, students are not only not required to say the pledge, which no student needs to say the pledge because we have a Supreme Court who took care of that, but they have state law mandated signs in the classrooms that say, you don't have to stand up for this.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to say this at all.
That's crazy. I wonder how that came
Right?
about.
I have no idea. I need to look at
I assume
that.
someone sued, and so then they had to
Yeah.
put it up. But like,
Yeah.
I don't. Is there any other state that does that?
Not that I'm aware of. I certainly didn't know that.
No, I know they don't do it in Texas.
They didn't do it in any of the 3 states I went to school in. I thought that shit was mandatory. It was not until I was an adult. I was like, I didn't have to say that.
Once I got older, I just started mumbling.
Although I gotta say, and we're like way off topic. We've been doing that all night. That's fine. But when I was a kid, I remember saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I didn't know what any of those words meant.
It's just a thing you did. Just
Yeah. I mean, I was just saying. It was just syllables, really. And like, I got older, and I was like, oh wait, that means this.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah, it wasn't until like I was maybe in the 4th grade or so we read a children's book specifically about that, and I remember the part where it said "for witches stand," and I was all, "Oh, for which it stands." I'm like, well, maybe you should enunciate, and I wouldn't have thought that.
But it's far more inclusive than I thought.
Until I was like 9 years old, I thought it said "for witches stand."
That's amazing.
But I never thought about it. Really.
So now state lawmakers in Florida are going to try to get rid of that good stuff, and
Because they didn't realize how liberal they were about it either.
did you
They
guys know
were
this?
also surprised.
Well, and one of the state lawmakers, or no, one of the school superintendents basically noted that there were very few students in the school that would, in his particular school, who would not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, but that when they put the signs up, it almost doubled the number of students who were like, oh, hey, I don't have to do this? I'm not doing this.
When did they start that law?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Wish I could tell you.
I wish
But
I had
we
read
don't
this.
prepare
I wish
for
I had
the
read this article
show.
because I stopped like 2-3 articles.
Prior to this.
So
This wasn't one of the ones I read. This is one of the ones that Ryan read and then told me about.
He missed this part, the most important part.
So the new laws that they're pushing, they want to take the signs out of the schools and put them in handbooks that students will never read. And the other thing they want to do is make not standing for the pledge an opt-out right instead of an opt-in.
how do you opt? Like
You have to get parent signature, right?
Yep. You have to get your parents to,
Yeah.
in writing, Billy is not going to stand for the pledge. And he must stand unless you have that letter on file.
It's like, I mean, I know a lot of your rights kind of get co-opted when you go to school to a certain degree, but like, I don't know, it seems like that's like pretty basic like speech rights.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine like my parents saying like, no, you have to stand and say these words in accordance with.
Because I did it, so you have to do it.
So I would just at a principle be like, nah, fuck you, I ain't doing it. Yo, what are you gonna do? Sue me? I don't have a fucking job or income.
You're going to call your parents, and that would be quite sufficient for most students.
Yeah, I guess so. It would have been sufficient for me.
Yeah. So I don't think that's going to get by the Supreme Court. I think if they pass this, and they very well may, it's going to be a really open and shut case. I mean, there's no way that that's going to stand up in a court. What was even more disturbing to me than the fact that they want to pass this law that won't do anything because it's illegal is that they had a state representative, his name is Mike Hill, who got up in front of cameras and with a big smile on his face said, I'm not advocating any student do this, but if I were a student in that class, that sign telling them they didn't have to stand up wouldn't stay up long. Ugh. Again, I'm not advocating that any student do that. Wink, wink.
Did he say wink, wink?
Sounds like something I'd do.
He had that. That was what he was. That's
Did he
Clearly,
actually
his,
leaving?
his body language was, I'm not advocating, but you should tear it down.
Maybe he just had something in his eye.
Why are you being red at this moment?
It's like if I was a Christian fundamentalist, I would totally do that. Like that would be like my move right there.
Go to.
No, we know.
All right, let's shut it down for the night. Thank you for listening to Atheist Airwaves, sponsored by Corpus Christi Atheists and the South Texas Coalition of Reason. If you would like to compliment, complain, or make a suggestion, please write to us at god@atheistairwaves.com. Thank you to Tombstone to Deadman for our outro music. Patreon.com/atheistairwaves if you would like to sponsor our show. Tonight on the post show, we're going to be talking about some nonsense, but we're definitely going to be talking about how Hillary Clinton is just like your abuela. So stick around for that.
Woohoo.
We will see you guys next week at 7:30 Central on Tuesday.
Bye, chat room.
See you later.
Skeptic means so much more than being an atheist. And until you accept that, you won't relate to this. The cognitive dissonance that you experience is when there's things you claim to believe in but ain't living it. Most of you say you are the type to question everything until I hear the conspiracy theories that you echoing. And when I scrutinize the things you try to say are lies, expose your sources as suspect, I see your logic dies. Some still believe in pseudosciences, engage in special pleading when theorists use the exact same reasoning. I've even seen atheists use arguments from ignorance and see more rough to tell me exactly just what the difference is. A skeptic without the ability to analyze is just as bad as it is, cause he'll probably accept a lie. Just as long as it verifies all his biases, applying it to his knowledge pool, and then he's diving in. So I'm not saying that some conspiracies do not exist. I'm just saying that a lot of them are some bullshit. So I'ma call a spade no matter who asserts it. Nobody's perfect and just rely that it's all perverted. Bring down the curtains on that sad display that only raise the question of yourself and all the things you say. Start the day. And maybe we can rise above and be examples for others to emulate, and that's the way we win this battle. So this is where I'm making my stand, and now regardless who don't like it or how they get mad, see why the rest of y'all capitulate and go with the plan. I'll be beating on this wall until I'm breaking my hand. So listen while I state official policy. No matter how I'm threatened with hell, then never silence me. I know that you don't see this as imperative, but I refuse to lose and let the stupid frame the narrative.
just so that we're not boring our...
Oh, okay. So now we can talk about the black servants. No.
Racist stuff.
Rab's being racist.
Well, no, I feel like that would be like if the guy like only hired like black servants. I'd be like,